Your name, your address, and your phone number are floating around the internet. Easy for strangers, scammers, and companies you've never heard of to find. Data brokers and shady databases collect and sell your private details to anyone willing to pay, putting you at risk of nonstop spam, scams, and fraud. You can't stop them from collecting data, but you can control who gets to keep it. That's why I use Incogni. They remove your private information from more than 420 of these sites automatically. And with their unlimited plan, you get total coverage. If you spot your personal details anywhere else online, just send them the link, and their privacy experts will get it taken down. It's the easiest, most complete way to protect yourself and personal life. Right now, you can lock in 60% off with my exclusive deal at privacykim.com. Go to privacykim.com right now and start protecting your privacy. This is so important. Privacykim.com. That's privacykim.com.
Welcome to the Kim Komando Show podcast for the weekend of September 14th, 2024. Thank you for listening to the Kim Komando Show. Here's hour one.
I always like to start the show with something interesting. Okay, there's this guy by the name of Leo Chris, and he lives in Miami, Florida. He is this big-time electronics tycoon. Well, he sold his 19,000 square foot mansion in Miami for, you ready for it? $79 million. Wow, $79 million. But now he's suing his realtor. Why? Because he says, you know what? My realtor should have told me that the buyer of this house is Jeff Bezos. Jeff Bezos. I mean, because otherwise I wouldn't have come down $6 million in my price. I mean, Jeff Bezos, he could afford to buy the whole thing. So apparently there are this area in Miami called the Billionaire Bunker, where he's like shopping for houses like we go get eggs. He snagged the house next door for $68 million. And then he put another $90 million down on a nearby mansion. Gosh, you know what? Think about this. For him to spend $50, $60, $80 million like he did on a brand new Gulfstream, truly, that's like us for like going and spending $20 at Starbucks. I mean, literally, it's that much of a spread. Hey, speaking of mansions, did you know that the Haunted Mansion opened 3 years after Walt Disney died? That's right, 3 years after Walt Disney died. It's what Walt would have haunted. Oh, yeah, that was a good one. And on that happy note, welcome. I'm Kim Komando, America's beloved digital goddess, here with you once again. You found the best show, the biggest show, the most awesomest show about all things digital. You can find us on over 420 top stations from coast to coast, and we're streaming in your favorite radio app. Just search for my last name, Komando. And you can also get the Kim Komando Show as a podcast. That's right. Just search for Komando wherever you get your podcasts. With a K, of course. And let me tell you, you're about ready to get more tech smarts because every single thing is now a tech thing. And if you're not tech ahead, you are really just tech left behind in the dust. And a big hello and salute goes out to all of our listeners on the American Forces Network Radio, reaching over 375,000 U.S. service members in 175 different countries. And over 200 ships at sea get the Kim Komando Show. And let me tell you, some great sponsors help to make this show possible. And I give out a whole bunch of links and a whole bunch of deals every show. So in case you're wondering, like, how do I get 60% off at Incogni? How do I get 50% off at SimpliSafe? Okay, here's the deal. You can go to one spot. That's Komando.com/sponsors. Komando.com/sponsors. Alrighty, every single day, doesn't matter if it's a weekend, it's a holiday, whatever it may be, is that I go ahead and I scour at least 35 to 40 different sites. I speak to industry insiders to make sure that we are all up to date on what's going on in the tech world. And here are the top 5 things you need to know about right now. And this one, wow, it has got people all fired up all over social media. I mean, all over social media. Now, normally I try to steer clear of politics, but we got to talk about this because it's everywhere and it has to do with technology. So after last Tuesday's debate, people online are saying that those giant pearls that Vice President Harris wore were actually audio earrings that doubled as speakers. So somebody could be actually talking to her. Why? Well, they look a whole lot like the Nova H1 audio earrings. They came out in 2023. They're like AirPods, but they have these really big pearls on them, and you clamp them into existing piercings or use them as a clip-on, and the speakers aren't actually crammed into your ear like the AirPods. But the speakers' vents behind the pearls direct audio right into the ear canal. Doesn't spread into any other direction. So you can discreetly listen to another person. You can listen to music, even jump on phone calls without anybody even knowing. And they start at $635. Well, let me tell you, the company behind Nova said, we have no comment. We're not going to say yay or nay. We're just going to say they're not in stock, and we don't even know if we're going to keep making them, whatever the deal is. But I did some research, and I'll tell you, to me, it does not look like she had them on. It looks like some pearl earrings that she bought at Tiffany's years ago, and for $2,500, and they don't sell them anymore. All right, moving on to number 2, let's talk about Amazon and Amazon's secret profit center. Okay, it began with an innocent $79 a year for free 2-day delivery on every order, and that's Amazon Prime, of course. It's now $139. Prime Video with ads is going to go up to $175 total. Grocery delivery, another $100. Amazon Music Unlimited is also $100. $10 for the Kindle, another $16 a month for HBO, and all of these membership fees. Think about this. This is not a physical product. All of these membership fees add up to a whopping $22 billion a year in profits for Amazon. Gosh, no wonder why he can buy up the whole neighborhood. I'll tell you. Number 3, Congress is now banning new DJI drones. I told you about the tiny new drone called Nero from DJI a few weeks ago. And it's really impossible to see from the ground. And it even promises more nightmarish levels of snooping and spying. But here's the deal. The House of Representatives voted to ban all new DJI drones in America. Why? Well, since the Chinese spy balloon incident, together with China's threats to invade Taiwan and then just drag us into a Pacific War, a real concern has developed that China's quietly spying, collecting intricately detailed maps of America and the whole infrastructure using these drones. So if you already have a DJI drone, this ban won't affect you. But if you were thinking about buying one, you may not be able to. Coming in at number 4, it's a voice that we all know. Here, take a listen.
No, I am your father.
Okay, that, of course, is James Earl Jones. He passed away this week, at the age of 93. His voice, one of the greatest ones. Well, in 2022, he teamed up with an AI company called Respeecher to recreate his voice with pinpoint accuracy. And the AI is mapping his old recordings, so even though he's passed away, he's still going to be behind the mic. And this coming in at number 5, hang up the phone already. How about this one? Did you drop off the film to get it developed? Or what about you need a quarter for the payphone just in case you need to make a phone call? Well, there's now an entire generation of people who have never even seen a payphone or used it. How about another saying? Where's the yellow pages? What about the white pages? Did you forget to rewind before you took that back to Blockbuster? That's a 2-for-1. Dial 411. My mother actually helped design that directory system for Bell Labs and years ago. How about this? I'll fax that over to you, or we don't have any fax paper, or the sound of a modem connecting to the internet. You remember that was? Ching, ching. Yeah, these are all things that we don't do anymore. And if you have any that I missed, let me know. Go ahead and post it over on social media, wherever you're hanging out. All right, coming up, we're going to talk about some deep fakes, how you can watch football for free, and we have all of your great phone calls. You have me, Kim Komando. All right, aside from my show here, I host a wildly popular podcast called Kim Komando Today, and I get to speak to some really interesting people like 95.5 WSB's radio consumer expert Clark Howard. And if you've ever listened to Clark, you know he's all about saving money. And so we sat down and we talked about travel and how you can really save money booking those flights. Hey, today we have, oh my gosh, he's such an amazing person. I mean, if you've ever thought like, I'm wasting money, I need to save money, then of course you probably tuned into Clark Howard's fantastic radio show or amazing podcast. And so I called Clark because I'm like, you know what? So many people want to know, like, what are the insider secrets to really saving money on airfare. Like, for example, this past week, Hopper came out and they said, if you want to save money on your airline tickets, is that you need to buy those tickets now for Thanksgiving because the best day of the week is a Wednesday and it's between like 21 days and 58 days. And then Google comes out and says, no, it's 71 days before departure. And of course, I travel all the time. I mean, I counted up. I've been to 36 different countries. And I admit that I'm not really the best person at, say, saving money on airfare because I'm like, you know what, just get me to Tokyo or get me to Paris or wherever it is, on the shortest flight. That's always my thing, the shortest duration. So anyway, joining us is Clark. Clark, you look fabulous. It's so nice to see you.
Well, it's so good to see you. And, we've tried to get together over the years and I always mess it up, don't I?
No, you don't always mess it up. Not at all. Not at all.
And by the way, what you just said, my wife is with you 100%. She can't stand that I'll route us who knows how to get wherever to save money. And she's like, I want to go nonstop. And I'm like, no, you miss all the adventure when you go nonstop.
Oh, no, Clark. No, don't tell me about adventure when you're sitting there and they're like, I just want to let you know, everybody at gate 78, the flight has been canceled. You're like, oh, no. Or they come out and they say, you know what? We'll give you $1,000 in vouchers if you don't get on this plane right now. And I'm like, no, not me. I am on that plane. I am on that plane 100%.
And my wife knew from very early, just when we were dating, that when they'd call for volunteers, I was at the counter. Because there's always another flight. There's always another day you can go. And so, you and I are opposite poles. I am all about the price and convenience. I don't care about.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, see, because you know what? When we went to Tokyo,
isn't it great, by the way?
Oh my gosh! Everybody needs to go to Tokyo. What was your favorite thing about Tokyo?
Pretty much everything. And by the way, I got to tell you, I'm not an adventurous eater, and I just went with it. And the food was so fantastic. It's so safe. It's so clean. And for you, if you went to Osaka, also, all the electronic shops must have just been. You must have been in heaven with all those places.
Oh, it was crazy. But my favorite part was Nara, where the deer bowed to you, which that was just like crazy to me. But
it's
you
pretty
talk about
special being in Nara. Yeah,
it is. But the city is clean. It's like you mentioned the word safe. And because of the time difference is that it was 10 o'clock at night in Tokyo. But of course, it was like 1 PM in Phoenix or whatever it was. And so I decided, I need to go for a run because I got off that plane. I'm like, I need to get some exercise. And so I said to my husband, Barry, he said, what are you doing? You're putting on your running shoes. I said, I'm going for a run. And he's like, you can't go for a run. It's 10 o'clock at night in Tokyo. And so I said, let's call down to the concierge and maybe it's not safe. And so they said, where are you going to go? I said, I'm just going to go from the hotel to the Imperial Palace and back. And they said, I said, and they said, it's about 5 miles. I said, that's perfect. And then my husband was like, is she going to be safe? And they're like, 1,000%. She's going to be all right. So I went on a run and there were people walking. Anyways, lovely. So let's talk about airfare. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Aside from making 8 stops between Los Angeles or Atlanta to get me to Berlin or to Chicago, what is like the secret sauce? Is it like the day of the week? Is it how maybe you buy your ticket like 24 hours before the flight or you buy it, 7 weeks before the flight?
Right. So it's completely different international and domestic. Most of their travel's domestic. So let me start with domestic.
For sure.
Rule number 1 for domestic, biggest mistake people make is they do their domestic flight searches round trip. Never, not ever do a domestic fare search round trip. Because what happens is first you'll see the screen that shows the fares on all the different airlines for your flight, and you'll pick one. So let's say you pick, since you fly a lot out of Phoenix, let's say you pick American Airlines. And then you're picking your return flight. Well, now it's going to limit you to searches of American flights coming back. And you're going to be guaranteed to overpay almost every time when you do searches for domestic flights round trip, because domestic fares are set as one way. So you want to do your search each direction where you put in your going flight. You see all the choices on all the airlines. You do a multi-fare search. You mentioned Hopper. Google Flights is excellent. And you see what everybody's got now, by the way, not on Hopper yet, but on Google, you'll actually see the fares on Southwest, which you never used to see. And Southwest flies more passengers in the United States than any other airline. So you want to see the Southwest stuff too. And so you do the search one way. As far as time, you were talking about the debate where Google says this far in advance and Hopper says that. One of the most important things with domestic is it's got to be at least 21 days in advance to get a good fare. Almost always you go less than 21 days and the airlines kill you. They just destroy your wallet. So I would say that somewhere around, if I were to compromise between what Hopper said and Google, about 6 weeks out seems to be a pretty good sweet spot, because the airline's predictive analysis has a real good feel based on historical averages, how likely their loads are going to be, whatever, on that travel date about 6 weeks out. And if they're going to cut prices, that's a good window when I find you're going to see them. Day of the week, like you talked about, buying tickets on Wednesday or whatever, I don't see that as a very important pattern.
Hey, you can catch my entire chat wherever you get your podcasts. Just search for Commando with a K, of course. We have more of your phone calls coming up here on the Kim Commando Show. If you own a home, listen up. This is scary. The FBI is warning about a crime on the rise: home title theft. And it doesn't happen the way you might think. No break-ins, no stolen keys, just a forged signature on a single piece of paper filed with the county. In minutes, criminals can transfer the title out of your name, then use your ownership to drain your equity or even sell your home. The worst part, most people don't know what's happening until they get collection or foreclosure notices in the mail. That's why I trust Home Title Lock. When you visit HometitleLock.com/Kim, you'll get a free title history report and a 14-day free trial of their $1 million triple lock protection, including 24/7 monitoring of your home's title, urgent alerts to changes, and if fraud does happen. Their U.S.-based restoration team will work to restore your title, covering costs up to $1 million. Don't wait. Protect your home and equity today. Get your free 14-day trial at HometitleLock.com/Kim. That's HometitleLock.com/Kim. In just a few seconds, we have to talk about kids and deep fakes. It's not a happy topic, but especially now that we have school back in session, it's a really important thing for us to cover. And later on, how you can watch football for free. And let's talk about hiding your phone number from marketing companies. I mean, it's so easy for your phone number just to be added to any marketing list, whether it's because you just bought something or you called somebody, but you can make it stop. There are a few ways, but the easiest is *67. That hides your landline or your cell phone number when you're actually making a call. Just punch in *67 followed by the number you're calling, and that's it. The caller's going to see private or blocked. Now, here's the bummer. You have to do this for every single call. But luckily, there is a setting on your phone. For example, on your iPhone, tap Settings, and then Phone and Show My Caller ID. You want to toggle that off. On Android, it's called Hide Your Number. Now, if you need these steps exactly on how to do that, or you want to sign up for a free Google Voice number, just head over to the website, that's commando.com, and just search in Hide My Phone Number, and a whole bunch of great tips will pop up for you. Let's see, Becca in beautiful Santa Barbara, California. Hi there, Becca.
Hi. Thank you for having me on your show.
You betcha.
I've learned a lot from the Kim Commando Show website, and I'm grateful for all that you know and can teach us about. Recently, I've had this fear that there might be spy cameras in my room and bathroom.
Ooh.
And I have this fear because I had family over one of the holidays, and I found one of my family members in my room, or I didn't. I heard someone was in my room unexpectedly, and I was very suspicious because this family member is very smart, and he's into computer technology, and he reads a lot, and he's just got a lot of knowledge. So I was kind of worried that he might have planted something, and I don't know it.
Well, that's really creepy, isn't it?
Yes.
That's awful. So do you have any reason why this person would want to put some spy cams in your bedroom and in your bathroom?
I can't really think of anything, but I noticed that, like, I had some money just sitting out in my room, and it was untouched. Mm-hmm. So I couldn't think of anything any other reason why he'd have gone up there uninvited.
Yeah, maybe he's just snooping around. Could be. It happens. But, it's a serious thing if you think that there's a hidden spy cam in your bedroom and, as you said, in your bathroom. What you can do is look around for anything that is unusual, maybe something that wasn't in the room or your bathroom before. And in addition to that, just keep in mind that spy cameras, they are so small right now, Becca. I mean, I don't mean to freak you out, but they could be hiding in an electrical outlet, a remote control. It used to be like, a teddy bear. Yeah, we could have them in there too, but it could be in a fake smoke detector. I'm sure you've heard a lot of stories about these creepy Airbnb and Vrbo hosts, right, who keep them in their rental properties until they get caught. Here's what you can do: is you turn off all the lights in your room, okay, and you're going to get a flashlight. Sometimes when you do that, you may notice that some light will reflect back at you, and that may give you a way to spot some hidden cameras that way. There's a special LED flashlight, and don't worry about writing this down. We'll send you a link to it, that has a red light option that's better at detecting these lenses in, say, pretty dark areas. Now, there are some bug detectors. These work on radio frequency detectors. They're around $50, and we have links to them over at commando.com. And basically, these are going to detect any signals that are being emitted by any wireless spy devices like cameras or microphones or things like that. There are also infrared detectors, and that may actually go ahead and show you some hidden devices as well. Do you have access to the router inside your house?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Sometimes if these cameras are accessible and they're using Wi-Fi, is that you may see them listed in the router's settings. And that's where you're going to look at MAC addresses and see everything that's tied on the router has a unique MAC address. And so you can look at everything that you have in your house. And if there are some MAC addresses that you don't notice, is that you can disable them and then see if anything kind of goes off, something that you may not have noticed. There's also an app called Wireshark, and Wireshark looks at any devices that are on the Wi-Fi network as well. So if you don't feel like going into the router setting itself, that's where you can use a network scanning tool like Wireshark or Fing, F-I-N-G, and it will show you things that are on the network. These are really, they're not easy to detect, but if you start looking around, you may notice that something unusual is there. And next time you have a family gathering, what I would do is put a camera inside your bedroom. So this way you can see who's coming in and out. And then it will alert you to any motion. It will do any recording. So maybe this guy just poked his head in and just like looked around a little bit and then left because, like you said, the money was still on the dresser. But if you don't really have any reason to think like maybe he doesn't have a past history or something like this, I don't want you to get totally freaked out about this. Just because he was in the room doesn't mean that he was doing something nefarious, but he could be. So that's why you want to make sure that you uncover every single thing that you can in your bathroom. It's not a big area. And if it were me, if I thought this was going on, I would probably empty out both rooms and then load them back up. And so this way I know exactly what was in there. If I can help you any further, Becca, I'm always here for you. And thank you for your kind words about the website. Hang on. We're going to send you some links out so you can start checking things out yourself a little bit deeper. And again, thank you for your call. All right, this happened in Columbus, Ohio, when Billy Blocka found out that his 11-year-old daughter was sending inappropriate images and messages to a man she met online. He called the police. Now, when the officers showed up at his door at midnight, Billy thought he was getting help and he was getting guidance. But instead, they told him that his daughter could probably get charged with child pornography. He's like, what? How can she do this? She's 11 years old. The officer said, it doesn't matter. She is creating child pornography, and they just left. So I want you to think about this. With AI, it's becoming so easy to create video and pictures and all these deep fakes. And so from one simple social media picture, your kid's image can be used to create child porn and abuse materials. So now's the time to really, really think about what you post about your child online, especially any photos, any videos, any of them talking or singing or anything like that. And, you need to know what your kids are doing online, obviously. Be the parent because, let's face it, nobody else will do that. All right, still to come, we have more of your phone calls as well as later on how you can watch football for free here on the Kim Komando Show. All right, back to the phones we go with Mark in Salem, Virginia. Hi there, Mark.
Hey, Kim. How you doing today?
Good. What's going on?
Well, I'm in the market for a new phone. Mine's about 5 years old. I have the current iPhone XR, and it works great and all that, but I'm sure the updates are going to start going away soon. I don't know when, but so.
iPhones typically last 6-7 years, so
Okay.
you may be able to, get another year out of that. So when you start looking at an older phone versus a newer phone, that's when number one is you always want to play the gaming cycle. Okay, that where you're at right now, you could probably update to a 12 or 13. And then you're going to get, another 4 or 5 years out of that. But if this is something like where you're off the grid a lot, maybe that SOS would be pretty cool. If you're using your iPhone a lot for business and you find yourself using ChatGPT or Perplexity or Claude or whichever one, Gemini, right? Copilot, there's a ton of them out there. If you find yourself constantly referring to that and you're paying $20 a month for it, okay, that Apple's not going to be charging that $20 a month. So we're at a different place right now. It used to be like if you wanted a phone, you'd say like, oh, well, I'm going to get a Google Pixel, I'm going to get a Samsung, a Motorola, or I'm going to get an iPhone. And if you're in the Apple ecosystem, of course, you're going to get an iPhone. That's just it, right? And if you're not, then that's
I didn't really want to be. I just kind of ended up there,
Well, you know what? It's not.
So I have the iPad and I have an old iPod, and it just kind of morphed into that. And
but it's not a bad place to be. It really isn't.
Right.
I mean, it's and just now when I'm sure that there's somebody right now who's listening, Mark, and they're saying, "Oh, Kim Komando, you're only saying that because Apple's a sponsor." Okay, I wish that they were a sponsor. Okay, I mean, I've been begging them to sponsor the show for 20 years. I don't get a call back. All right, so. So
neither does Elon.
Yeah, that's true too. I shouldn't feel alone with that. Yeah. So when you start looking at when it's time to get rid of an old phone, get rid of a new phone, that's where you start looking at the capabilities and videos and where how much storage do you need. You always look at the current storage of what you have before you go there, and of course, because with Apple, it's always on the upsell. For another $50 more, I can get another couple hundred megabytes. But do I really need that? Am I using it?
Right.
And then as far as like buying a used phone, I like to buy, if I'm going to buy a used phone, I'm not going to buy it from obviously Facebook Marketplace or Craigslist or anything like that. Just go to the Apple refurbished store. And if you go to apple.com at the bottom, there's a link that says refurbished. They don't like to make that front and center. I wonder why. Because that comes with typically a new battery, a full 1-year warranty. And that's really the important thing. You want a new battery and a full 1-year warranty. And it also replaces the outer shell as well. And there are other places like Back Market. They also offer a 1-year warranty. And I think, I'm not sure if Gazelle's doing that yet, but they also have, like the others, like a 30-day money back guarantee. So, but Apple is always the first spot to check for that. But I'm super excited. I mean, it's always fun when you get a new phone, right? And then what happens is that I hand my phone down to my husband. He always gets my hand-me-downs, as I like to say. Thanks for your call today, Mark. Hey, speaking of your iPhone, just a reminder, if you have not already, enter to win that brand new iPhone 16 that I'm giving away. No purchase required, by the way. Head over to winfromkim.com. Once again, that's winfromkim.com. A brand new iPhone 16. You'll be like the coolest kid on the block for sure. Winfromkim.com. Let's see. Mary in Austin, Texas, you're up next.
Howdy, Kim. I'm new to your whole world. I heard you on the radio, and I went online, and I've done a bunch of stuff that you've recommended, and you are absolutely awesome. The way you put the directions to correct something is phenomenal. Phenomenal.
Oh, thank you, Mary. That's kind. We appreciate that.
Having a problem with TikTok.
Okay.
With all that's in the news about security, I deleted it off my app because my business information and my banking and everything is on my phone, and it made me nervous. So I delete the app, and my sister sends me a TikTok, and I figured, you know what, let me just give it a try and click on it and see if you play. Because I know with Twitter, if I send a tweet to my husband who doesn't have the account, he can't view it. So I said to myself, how am I still able to play this? So I'm going through all the settings on my phone, and I found the TikTok in the app. You know, I went to iPhone apps, and there's a little cloud there. So does that mean that TikTok is still in my cloud live and able to somehow steal data from my cloud information? I want it gone from my life.
I want TikTok out already. I want it got done.
Yes.
You know, and rightfully so, because TikTok, it's owned by the Communist China company, right? ByteDance.
Right. And
they are getting a copy of every single thing on your phone, including your pictures and your texts and your facial ID and your voice print and everything. And so it's a really nasty program. So let's talk about removing it, and then if you want to put it back into your life, okay? It's really hard for me to. You don't want it back at all? No. Okay, we don't want it back. Forget that.
I don't ever want it back.
Okay,
gone.
Okay, all right, so here's the deal, is that we're going to send you these steps via email, but basically you're going to locate the app that you want to remove from your iCloud account, and then when you find it, you swipe left, and then you click delete. That little cloud means that you had TikTok on your phone once, and you removed it, but if you hit the cloud, it's going to download right to your phone again. Now, once you remove the app from your iCloud account, you won't be able to download it again. It also deletes any preferences and data, which we don't care about this. And if you want to make sure that it doesn't auto-download again any of your apps that you delete, you have to go into iCloud and you have to switch off automatic downloads. But just keep in mind, we're going to send you all these steps, so you don't have to worry about it. Now, the reason why I said maybe you might want TikTok is that I've had people call me and say, hey, I know that the Communist China are getting a copy of everything, but I love TikTok. I can't live without TikTok. Well, that's when I recommend that you get an old device, get a cellular account, don't put it on your Wi-Fi, and the only thing that you do on that device is you can watch all the TikTok videos to your heart's delight. For everybody else, we'll post these steps over at Komando.com. And Mary, thank you for your call. Hey, just a quick reminder, if you're too shy to come on the show, you can always drop me your questions, and the best place for you to do that is over on my website. Head to Komando.com, and there's a link at the top that says Ask Kim. So how much do you think you have to pay to watch every single NFL game? Anybody? If you have cable, $2,500. Oh, gosh. Streaming, $1,700. So how can you get some of the action for free? Local channels like CBS, NBC, and Fox, they broadcast the games, especially on Sundays. And then there's the NFL Plus app. You can stream local and primetime games for free. And then finally, there's Tubi. That's Tubi. Now, with Tubi, this is kind of a strange thing. You're not going to be watching the games live, but Tubi offers replays after they actually air. So if you don't mind a delay and maybe knowing the results, it's a pretty solid pick. Hey, listen, thanks for joining us and thanks for being here. And don't forget to do me a solid and tell one person about the Kim Komando Show. Thank you for doing that, and thanks for being here.
Thanks for listening to the Kim Komando Show. Here's hour 2.
Okay, here's a number for you. 100 trillion megabytes. gosh. Isn't that crazy? 100 trillion megabytes. Okay, that's how much wireless data that American used last year. So to put this into perspective, that's like streaming Netflix in 4K over 1.3 million years. Okay, it's also a 36% increase from the year before. Turns out that we're streaming more 4K videos. We are hanging out on TikTok. We're playing a lot of games on our phones, and we're hopping on video calls like never before. Wow, 100 trillion megabytes. See, that's a little fun fact you can use to impress your family members and friends. That's how much wireless data, as I mentioned, Americans used last year. You know, I once had a band called 999 megabytes. I did. Yeah, I was the lead singer, but we never got a gig. A little geek humor for you. On that happy note, welcome. I'm Kim Commando, America's digital goddess, here with you once again. You found the best show, the most trusted show, the biggest show about all things digital. And you're about ready to get more tech smarts because everybody needs to be tech smart now, or else you're just going to be tech left behind. Of course, you can find my show on over 420 top stations across the United States. I'm streaming in your favorite radio app. Just search for Commando. And you can also find the Kim Commando Show as a podcast. Just search for Commando wherever you get that. And just a quick reminder that great sponsors help to make this show possible. If you're looking for links to our special deals, wondering what the deal is, and what's that URL, and is it Privacy Kim, is it Simply Save Kim? I know it gets so confusing. Just head over to commando.com/sponsors. Commando.com/sponsors. All right, you know the drill. It's my labor of love every single day. I go out on all the news sites and I talk to industry insiders and even white hat hackers to make sure that we know what's going on. And here are the top 5 things you need to know right now. And it's fall. You know what that means? Pumpkin spice. You can put a scarf on. Of course, it's Apple's big announcement. I mean, it happens every September. And they called it Apple's Glowtime. Now, before you say, another new iPhone that looks like the old iPhone, and I don't know why I need to upgrade because you just waste some money. Kim raising her hand right there. I think this one is going to be different. It's called the AI phone, not for artificial intelligence, Apple Intelligence. It's not going to rely on the cloud, remote servers for reminders, your cloud, your contacts, and your calendar. And it's going to have speed and privacy and all this stuff that's really amazing inside a brand new iPhone. And Siri will finally be productive. I hope. And here's the reason why I say I hope. Okay, is that so Apple comes out with this whole new phone. And so like Apple Intelligence is going to do this. And then they say the phones are going to be available in a week or so. But the Apple Intelligence is not going to be available until October. What? What does that mean? It's like SneakerNet, smoke and mirrors. October is when the Apple Intelligence will be here. They should have just held off. Anyway, they also have some better camera features and really a true telephoto lens within the camera. But the big deal is that you got an extra button on the side of the iPhone. So now you can tap into some AI, Apple Intelligence, AI, artificial intelligence, whatever you want to call it. They also had some new AirPods. They say the most comfortable and the smallest recharging case ever. They double as hearing aids with some FDA approval now from mild to moderate hearing loss. And then stocks and hearing aid companies, by the way, dropped this past week because of that. There's actually 4 new iPhones, the iPhone 16, 16 Plus, Pro, and the Pro Max. Yes, I'm getting the Pro Max. Screen sizes 6.1 up to 6.9 inches. There's also a new Apple Watch, has a new processor on the inside. But again, I'm thoroughly disappointed that they rolled out all these new iPhones talking about how great the AI is going to be. But when you buy one, you have to wait a month for it. I think you guys and gals could do better. All right, let's move on to number 2, Teslas. Over the years, we've had a lot of deaths because of the autopilot. 2 men died with no one in the driver's seat in Texas. An accident in California where Tesla plowed into a barrier, killing the driver. And you think that Tesla would be doing everything to make sure that their cars are following the rules, the autopilot. Now, this is really fascinating to me. According to Business Insider, some of the people training autopilot for Tesla are told to ignore important road signs, things like no turn on red, no U-turn. One former worker said it's a driver-first mentality. Listen to this one. I think the idea is we want to train it to drive like a human would, not a robot, because that would be just following the rules. Okay. Just forget about that sign that says no U-turn. Just forget about that sign that says no turn on red. That's not important. Let's move on to number 3. Yes, are you ready for some football? Amazon's streaming Thursday Night Football, and they're bringing AI to predict live plays on your screen. Here's how it works. Amazon's AI crunches thousands of data points, player stats, game footage, you name it, to predict where the offense is about to strike. It's called coverage identification. It's going to tell you if the defense is running zone or man. You can finally stop pretending to know what the heck you're talking about. And there's hope for people like me that don't really know anything about football. There's defensive vulnerability. The AI is going to highlight the weak spots on the field and tell you where the offense should attack. Don't you know all the coaches are using this on the field, right? And finally, this coming at number 5. Do you remember Mavis Bacon Teaches Typing? It was a game that taught us how to use the keyboard for touch typing. And remember the box? It was a woman in a white suit with pearl earrings. And gosh, she was so smart. Here's the thing. Mavis Bacon wasn't real. I was so disappointed. All this time, I thought there was a real woman by the name of Mavis Bacon. No, she was created by 3 developers working out of their garage in the 80s who needed a face for typing software. They hired a model by the name of Renee L'Esperance, and she was working at a perfume counter at Saks Fifth Avenue. They paid her $500 for the gig to take some pictures. That software sold over 10 million copies. The reason why I bring this up is Seeking Mavis Bacon is a new documentary just premiered at the 2024 Sundance Film Festival where they're trying to find Renee. Renee, isn't that something? All right, coming up, we're going to talk about a big security problem that you might be guilty of. How if you're going out on the town, you need to be really careful about your phone. And a woman was taken for a $1.4 million scam. We're going to be talking to her directly. And we have your phone calls, and you have me, Kim Commando. All right, when I saw this story, I was like, oh my gosh, I need to go behind the scenes and really figure out what happened. You see, Peter and Annette Manis have been through this incredible ordeal. Annette, 85 years old, lost her entire savings, $1.4 million to scammers. Oh my gosh. These scammers pretended to be like official bank, fraudulent department detectives, and also federal agents, and they totally manipulated her. So I had a chance to sit down with Annette and Peter. Here, take a listen. So Annette, let's start with you. Can you tell us the first time that you encountered the scammers? What was going on?
I received a telephone call in October of 2022 from a gentleman who started asking a lot of questions. I did hang up on him, and he continued to call back. And I continued to answer the phone, unfortunately. And he then told me that an employee of Chase Bank had sold all my information, and he was from the internal fraud department of the bank, and he would be investigating this.
So at that point, you're probably thinking like, oh, thank goodness they contacted me, right?
Well, I felt it was legitimate as I had been with the Chase Bank for many, many, many years.
And so they put together this elaborate story that your money may be in jeopardy. And they were from the internal fraud department at Chase, which sounds legit, right? I mean, it's not the external fraud department. What was the first time where they said, okay, Annette, we need some money from you?
I'm not sure it was in that first call. I think they were asking for a bunch of information in the first call, and I was caught off guard. Not too long after that, they asked me to obtain money from the bank and gave me instructions as to what to do with it.
And what did you do with it? How did you get them the money?
They had told me to get a certain amount in $100 bills, and after a while, they had somebody come and pick it up.
Oh, wow. Wow. So, Peter, how did you find out that your mom was involved in this big scam?
So I got an email from an administrator at work who said someone from the Ulster County Adult Protective Services Department called me and left a message at work. I was fairly perplexed, but Ulster County is where my mom lives, and so I called them, and they started giving me the story how they were very concerned about my mom. They had gotten a report from somebody, they couldn't say who, stating that whomever notified them was concerned that she was a victim of an elder fraud scam. They took me through what they could tell me, and right away I called my mom.
And did she tell you that it was going on, or did she try to hide it initially?
Her initial reaction was, I told them not to call you. And she was angry. And as she described, for some time, she still believed that this was going on. Now, I was away on a work trip in Singapore, so it's about 10 o'clock at night. I don't even know what time in the morning it was in the U.S., but she was pretty clear that this was real. Now, my mom and I talk reasonably frequently, but I probably hadn't seen her in a couple months, and I didn't know what was going on. And so I started contacting family members to try and call her. And at one point I got the idea to call the state police because, frankly, I was worried, is she okay?
Right.
And so I asked them to do a wellness check on her. She was okay, aside from all of this that had happened. So I was flying back a couple days later, and I landed, and the next day I was up there.
Were you able at that point to start unraveling and looking at statements and her online accounts to really determine what was going on?
Well, this is where it's actually interesting because my mom has never done any banking online at all, which was another red flag when payments were being made online. In a 40-year plus history of banking, to suddenly see things like that needed to raise a red flag with the banks. But to your question, she is a meticulous note keeper and has all of her paperwork organized, and she gave it all to me. And this is when I was able to unravel it and determine that it involved multiple international banks, national international banks, Bank of America, Chase, Wells Fargo, and then one small regional bank that actually acted responsibly as opposed to the other ones. That was M&T Bank. And then it also involved multiple credit card companies, including Chase, Citibank, and Capital One. It took a lot of time to kind of put this whole story and figure out what was going on together. And we were still kind of unraveling it over the next few months. So that day that I went up there, we went to the New York State Police and filed a complaint, and then started some of the work of trying to speak to the banks and the credit card companies. Talking with the banks was like talking with a wall. They were very clear that this is not their responsibility. Citibank and Chase, where my mom has had credit card accounts for forever, they were clear. They said, well, some of this is fraud, but most of it you approved. And so you're responsible. And she did, but what they fail to acknowledge in all of that is that these criminals got onto her accounts. They were the first ones that were called when a charge was questioned. They called my mother. They three-wayed into everybody, the credit card company and the criminal and my mother approved it. So while my mother approved it, they also allowed the account takeover to happen.
$1.4 million. Well, I couldn't even imagine. So you might be sitting there thinking, why did the banks allow all these transactions to happen? I mean, didn't it look strange that an elderly woman would come in and ask for $50,000, $80,000, and then they would just give her the money? Well, coming right back, we're going to talk to Peter about that point and also how his relationship with his mom has changed. And so you definitely don't want to miss that. And of course, we have more of your phone calls, and then I have some more tips, tricks, and secrets that you never, ever want to miss here on the Kim Komando Show. Hey, if you're just tuning in, just a really gut-wrenching story. Peter and Annette Manis. Annette is the mom, Peter's the son. Annette is 85 years old right now, and she lost every single penny of her life savings. I'm talking about $1.4 million to scammers. So obviously, Annette is devastated. Peter is devastated too. And he really believes that the banks should have done more to protect his mom from losing her entire life savings in this entire nightmare. You mentioned that one bank, a small regional bank, that you said that they did the right thing. How did they handle it when your mom came in and wanted to get some cash or do a transfer or whatever they wanted her to do?
So she tried to do it twice. The first time, the teller said, this doesn't smell right. And they put her on the phone with someone from their fraud division. And they said, and the person there said, yeah, I'm not approving this. And then my mom sometime later went to a different branch, and the teller said, something's wrong about this. And ironically, she got on the phone with the exact same person from their fraud department. And what it came down to was this individual from this bank, and it was M&T Bank, and I'd say that because I think they should be applauded in this regard.
For sure. Yes, I agree.
Said, look, we have to protect you, and we have to protect the bank. You say that this is fine. I disagree. We're going to agree to disagree, and they closed her account.
So what advice would you give other people, other families that have older adults? Because, older adults are the ones that are being targeted, right? What advice would you have for them?
Well, first of all, I think it's important to have these conversations. And it's part of the reason why we're sharing this story. I mean, look, we would love to have restitution and have the credit card charges that, are still present and that these companies have sent my mom to collections for. I mean, we'd love to have that cleared. But if we can talk about this, then others will talk about it and others will realize. So you got to first have the conversation. But second of all, there are opportunities for family members of elderly adults to become what's called a trusted contact on accounts, where if something doesn't quite smell right, the bank can contact them. Now, they have to do it, but at least they have that opportunity to do it. And so I think that that's something important that I've now told my friends, and I'm happy I have the opportunity to tell your listeners.
How has this changed your relationship with your mom?
I love my mother very much. The person that I am today is the result of everything she did. And everything that she did was for me. You don't know her. You don't know us. She's completely selfless. You asked her a question, how did she accumulate this? She accumulated this because she spent nothing on herself. Nothing.
Wow.
And everything that I ever needed from an education standpoint, from a, she provided. I don't want to, it's so, and as it is in the article, I mean, my father, her husband, passed away when I was 4. And so it's just been her and I for this whole time. And it has made it very hard because let me be clear, I'm not angry with her. I'm probably mostly angry with myself that I ever allowed this to happen. And I wish I could go back in time and change it. So, but it's also forced me to confront, the fact that she's getting older. And that obviously is very upsetting as well.
You're a good son. You're a good man. You are. And she knows that.
That is because of her.
Of course. It is. So, and, but it's because when I was listening to your mom, I was kind of hearing my own mother. Very strong, independent. I don't need you. She did it all by herself. I can take care of myself. It's a hard situation. It is. But you know what? You guys are doing the right thing. I guarantee you, Peter, I am going to hear from, I don't know how many people that will send me a note saying, I sent this to my mother. I listened to it with my father, whatever it may be. And that's, as I told your mom, if we can just help one person, we did our job, but we're going to help a lot more. It's so devastating for me to sit here and to hear these scams happen time after time after time. And you guys and gals, you send them to me in my email. You leave them notes on social media. Say, Kim, do you think this is true, that there's somebody who's going to teach me how to do crypto? And or maybe there's a romance scam that's going on. You're wondering if you're really in love and that person who's overseas is really going to swoop you off your feet and marry you. Or maybe you actually believe that Brad Pitt has the hots for you on Facebook. Okay. I want you all to just sit back and think and to move very, very slowly. Now, that's if you're an older adult. Now, if you are taking care of an older adult, maybe it's your mom or dad or aunt or uncle, whatever it may be, is I want you to have some really frank conversations with them because they're being targeted. They really are. And I want you to say, if you ever get a phone call like this, or if this ever happens, no judgment zone, I want you to call me and let's talk about it. If somebody urges you to move quickly, that's another red flag. So whatever is happening, just know that you can trust me and you and I can get through this together. I mean, let's say Annette had called Peter when she just gave away the first $20,000 to $30,000, say, you know what, Sonny, I don't know if this is legit, but maybe you can help me figure it out. Okay. She wouldn't be out the $1.4 million. Don't answer any unsolicited phone calls, texts, emails, pop-up ads, whatever it may be. And if you do think that you're being swindled, I want you to call the police right now. Just call them and say, this is what's going on. If you want me to ever check to see if you're being swindled, I'm here for you too. Just head over to commando.com and then up at the page at the top, there's a link that says Ask Kim. All right, think about what's in your phone's contact address book. It has all the details about everybody who you know, right? Birthdays, pictures, names, email addresses, mobile phone, business. I mean, just list goes on and on. So why does it matter if you put on a new app on your phone or you sign into Facebook or X or whatever it may be, and they say, hey, you know what? We want to help you find people in the service, so just let us have access to your contact address book. Now, when you do that, you just shared all your friends' stuff. You just did. And then these companies build what's called shadow profiles. And this is where they can learn a lot from people, even if they're not on the platform. So the bottom line here is do not ever, ever, ever give apps access to your phone's contacts. And if you have done it, stop the sharing now. All right, we have some more of your phone calls coming up, as well as later on. There's a scam going around in the bars and nightclubs I need to tell you about here on the Kim Komando Show. All right, Yvonne in Portland, Oregon, glad to have you with us.
Hi, Kim. Thanks so much for taking my call. It's so great to speak with you.
Oh, you
I
betcha.
appreciate you.
Thank you.
I listen to your podcast all the time. So.
Yay. Love that. Love that.
Yeah.
So what's going on, Yvonne?
Well, I just moved into an apartment for the first time in years. I've been in a house for many, many years, and I just moved into an apartment temporarily. But I was trying to set up my Wi-Fi, my computers, and they have pre-installed in the closet Xfinity and Quantum Fiber, that modem router in the closet. And I've chosen to go with Quantum Fiber. And they gave me the name of the network, which is in the closet, and then the password.
Okay.
And my question is that like everybody who's lived here has that same password?
Oh, yes.
So
that's icky.
I'm wondering how safe it is to use it.
I wouldn't. Okay.
Okay. Okay, good.
Because if anybody is outside, and I'm sure the signal goes outside the apartment, they know the SSID or the network name. And if they have the password, they have the password saved. They conceptually can get onto the network and then possibly hop onto your devices and also keep records of anything that you type in by using a keylogger. I mean, it's just, you need to be able to reset that password. I would actually ask to reset the network name, the SSID. And so that's all new. And then also to reset that password and make it something that you know and nobody else does.
Now, there's two passwords. There's an admin password, and then there's a key passphrase, which is what I'm using it for my phone. I haven't hooked anything else but my phone. And there's a key passphrase, which is just a big, long password, which I used. And so which would I change both of them? The admin password and the
admin password's probably going to let you get onto the router. Okay. And so once you're on the router, you can change the admin password, and then you can change the Wi-Fi password at the same spot. And so what you're going to do is log into the router, and you do that by going into your browser, and then it has like a series of numbers. It's going to be like most common ones are like 192.168.0.1 or .1 at the end. So you're going to put that into the browser, then you're going to log in. It'll just be a simple screen. It'll say admin, and then you put in that admin password, and then just navigate around. If you're not sure how to do it, just do a Google search for whoever makes the make and model of the router, and then just say, how do I reset the password? I'm sure it's just going to pop right up for you. But yeah, you definitely want to change that and I'm glad that you called because we don't want anybody in your stuff, right? Yeah, so just go ahead and change the admin password, and while you're in there, change the Wi-Fi password, and then you'll be good to go. All right, let's see who's next. James in South Bend, Indiana. Hi there, James.
Hi, Kim.
Welcome. What's going on?
I have a question, and I don't know who else to ask. I'm concerned about the possibility of spying by the Chinese hobby drones, and I'm wondering, is it just hypothetical, or is it documented that it has happened, and is there anything the hobbyists can do to prevent it?
So you're concerned about the DJI drones?
Correct.
And what concerns you the most about it?
I don't know. I don't suppose I'm going to be filming any national secrets or anything. I just don't want to make it easier for them if I can avoid it.
Okay. Well, DJI, as you know, and as you said, it's a Chinese company, and there are concerns about the Chinese government having access to data captured by the drones, such as video footage, flight path information. And DJI always says, all this information is stored on secure servers in the United States, and we don't share that data with the Chinese government. But, if you're in communist China, you're owned by a Chinese company, and they come over and they say, we want your data, what do you think they're going to say, James? Here you go, right? So that's why DJI is not permitted to be used for military use here inside the United States. So, as far as the idea of, drone footage going back to China and creating and being saved and who knows what, it's a concern for everybody. And our measures that we are trying to take in place with foreign-made drones such as this in restricting them in certain government operations. They being the United States government, is trying to give some incentives for drone manufacturing to move here in the United States. They are calling for stricter standards and regulations for data security in drones. But this is just part of an entire big picture about so much of whatever we use and consume and buy here in the United States is being done in China, from our pharmaceutical drugs to our phones to TikTok taking over. I don't know, 3/4 of all the teens here in the United States are on TikTok every single day. And TikTok keeps track of everything that you do on the phone, including your texts, your photos, your location. I mean, it's a valid concern that I don't know if a lot of Americans realize what exactly could be going on. It's not necessarily that drone footage in South Bend, Indiana is going to take down the whole country. Not that Bobby in Roswell, New Mexico is hanging out on TikTok for 6 hours a day. It's the culmination, it's the summation, rather, of everything that is happening. So that, say, for example, combining the drone footage with all the data that's being gathered by the TikTok users in a certain community would allow the Chinese to pass along a deep fake video of the president of our United States saying that we are about ready to launch a war with China or Russia when that is not happening. That's what my concern is. Not necessarily that the Chinese know where I'm located every single moment, because the government knows where that is. I mean, just look, you carry a cell phone, that's where it happens. But it is something that we all should be aware of. Over at Commando.com, we have a list of companies that have direct ties to China, whether it's Huawei, Lenovo, DJI, TikTok, Shein, Temu, whatever it may be. And we also tell you how you can, say, mitigate some of the information that you are sharing and why you really need to get off of TikTok. And you should be using Temu, by the way. And again, that's over at Commando.com. James, thanks for your call. Really great food for thought for all of us. Oh, DJI drones. Wow. I'm telling you, there's so much going on with trying to ban them in Washington. It's pretty nutso. All right. If you're planning to make new friends at a nightclub or a bar, here's the new rule. Okay. While you're there, do not unlock your phone with a passcode. You might say, like, well, why not? Okay, so you're out on the town and somebody says, hey, why don't you send me a text? This way we can get together. And so you open your phone, you punch in your code to send them a text. Because you're like, okay, she's hot. All right, he's a hunk. So here's what I'm going to do. So a good phone is worth at least what? $1,000. Okay. And once somebody has the PIN code to your phone, they can just open it up. And once your phone is open, what do they have, right? Your bank account, your apps, anything else that you have on the phone. So when you're out in public, what you want to do is shield your PIN number. And if you do need to open it in front of everybody, make sure that you use facial ID instead of the digits. Okay, you don't want to use the digits. You want to use your facial ID. And just a quick reminder, enter to win that iPhone at winfromkim.com.
Listening to the Kim Commando Show. Here's hour 3.
Let me tell you, here at the Kim Commando Show, we love a good side hustle. That's why so often we highlight these people on the show. Like, for example, the guy who is making like $70,000 a year as a Ford mechanic is now making close to $200,000 a year answering questions online. Love stories like that. Now, let's say that you are a gemologist and you're like, you know what? I'd like to sell diamonds online. Well, you could. For just $200,000, you can snag your very own diamond making machine on Alibaba. Yes, you could be a diamond dealer. There are a few catches. You need to know your HPHT from your chemical vapors, because it's not as easy as just like pushing a button and waiting for some bling to pop out. And this side gig is going to cost you a lot to get started, $200,000. But it's a gem of a job. Oh, yes. On that happy note, welcome, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Kim Commando, America's beloved digital goddess, here with you once again. And you just tapped into the best show, the biggest show about all things digital, the award-winning show. After all, I'm in the National Radio Hall of Fame. And I'm here because I want to pass along and bestow to you tech smarts. Because if you're not tech smart, you are totally like tech left behind in the dust. And you can find my show on over 420 top stations from coast to coast. We're streaming in your favorite radio app, as well as you can find the Kim Komando Show as a podcast wherever you get your podcast. Just search for my last name, Komando, of course. And a big hello goes out to all of our listeners in the Army, the Navy, the Air Force, the Marine Corps, the Coast Guard, and the Space Force who are joining us on the American Forces Network Radio. Alrighty, then you can count on me to make sure that I check out at least 35, 40, sometimes even more different websites every single day, because I need to make sure that I'm up to date so I can make sure that you're up to date. So here are the top 5 things that you need to know that are happening right now in tech. Now, OpenAI, the company behind ChatGPT, they just released their brand new AI model. It's been weeks and weeks in the rumor mill. It has a secret code name. Don't tell anybody. Strawberry. Well, it was released this past week, and I tested it. And the big deal is that it's supposed to think. So instead of you asking AI question, and then you ask it another question, and then you ask it another question, it's going to think ahead and then give you all the answers that it thinks that you probably would want to know if given the opportunity. So because it was called Strawberry, I thought, okay, give me a brief history of strawberries. Okay. Sat there. 1, 2, 3. Okay. It took 30 seconds. Oh my gosh, to come up with an answer because it had to do deep research. Was it okay? It was all right. It wasn't the best. I don't think it's really that much better than the current model. But OpenAI says that Strawberry performs on par with PhD students tackling challenging benchmarks in physics, chemistry, and biology. Right now, Strawberry is getting a big raspberry from me. Moving on to number 2. Bye-bye. Bye-bye, Google. Bye-bye. I've been saying this for years, that Google is going bye-bye because we don't really need Google anymore. We've all stopped using Google, but especially the Gen Zers. Remember when Google was a verb? Google that, Google that. Back in 2006, the Oxford English Dictionary made Google a verb, but Gen Zers, those are the folks born between 1997 and 2012, they don't see it. New study out this past week says that they are going to TikTok to look things up, going to Reddit for honest opinions, and Amazon when they're ready to shop. All right, moving on to number 3. I know so many of our listeners are truckers, and your job's not easy. It's dangerous. But have you ever thought about AI taking your job? So imagine an 80,000-pound truck, fully loaded, speeding down the highway at least 65 miles per hour. It's hauling things just like you see every single day, except there's no one behind the wheel. In just a few months, 20 driverless trucks will hit the road, running the freight between Dallas and Houston. Aurora is the name of the company behind these autonomous rigs, and they say that their trucks can operate 24/7. They don't need any brakes. There's no fatigue. There's no distractions. There's no alcohol. There's no drugs. But what about the risks? You see, there's almost no federal regulation on these self-driving semis, so it's up to the companies to decide when they are safe enough for the road. Okay, and let's not forget, computers. What? Yeah, they have glitches. They make mistakes. They can be hacked. Waymo has certainly had their fair share of issues. Waymo is all over, for example, Phoenix, Arizona. I saw one the other day, just in a really busy intersection, just stopped in the middle, just sitting there like, I don't know which way to go. Which way should I go? Moving on to number 4, Elon Musk now controls nearly 2/3, of all satellites orbiting Earth after SpaceX just launched its 7,000th Starlink satellite. And Musk says that's not enough. We need at least 12,000 in low Earth orbit, bringing even faster Starlink service. Starlink is now available in 102 countries, has over 3 million customers, raising my hand, using at least a $600 dish to access the network. It's a great way to get fast internet, especially if you live in a rural area, you're in an RV, you hike for days, you live on a boat, whatever it may be. Eventually, he wants 42,000 satellites. Why so many satellites? You're so smart. Elon Musk is teaming up with T-Mobile to become a global cell provider. Not really cell. A global mobile provider, I guess, is that what you would call it? So wherever you are, you'd be able to get cell phone coverage, and you'd also be able to, you'd be able to make a call, let's say, make a phone call, and also get on the internet to do whatever you want. And finally, this coming in at number 5, Riverside High School in Durham, North Carolina took home Chromebooks for schoolwork at the start of the year. But the kids and the parents found out that they got more than just computers and homework. They got bed bugs. What? Yes. The insects infested the school's media center over the summer, and they were hiding in the Chromebooks. And so the school is saying, we need you to bring all the computers back. Oh, my gosh. Bed bugs and other creepy crawlies, they like to be inside computers because it's nice and warm. And it's close to humans. A little fun fact, their primary food source is, ready for it, human blood. Yes, human blood. So check your kiddos' computers from school to make sure there's nothing creepy crawly coming in and around it. Yuck. You know, Arnold Schwarzenegger no longer kills people. He doesn't. Not in his movies. He only kills bugs because now he's known as the exterminator. That was one of my better ones. All right, coming up, we're talking about how you can use your iPad as a second computer monitor. I have a security test to see if you're going to pass, the hidden costs of using Instacart, as well as what are the jobs that AI is really threatening to kill here on the Kim Komando Show. Hey, make sure that you enter to win the brand new iPhone 16 at winfromkim.com. No purchase required. That's winfromkim.com. All right, let's get started. Paul in Joplin, Missouri. Hi there, Paul.
Here's my concern. My wife and I have an adult son. He is autistic.
Okay.
He lives in an apartment. He's pretty self-sufficient, does his own laundry, his personal grooming and all of that. But there are some things he can't do, like he can't drive. So we work with an agency that provides a staff person to be with him through the day and help him. But a couple of weeks ago, he had a new staff person, and she accused him of attacking her with a knife, which is just completely ridiculous. There was an investigation, and it turns out that person had a history of ridiculous things like that, and they were fired. But anyway, we want some sort of a simple camera system, like a nanny cam or something that we can put in his apartment in case something like that happens again. Do you have any suggestions?
Yeah, for sure. I'm sorry you have to go through all that. What a nightmare. Gosh, you just don't know people, right?
Yeah, and he can't defend himself. He can't talk. He talks about maybe at about a 3-year-old level. So, yeah, if there was ever any kind of a court case even...
Wouldn't be able to do that.
Right. Yeah, he wouldn't.
I'm not a lawyer. I can't give you legal advice, but I just have to tell you, just make sure that what I'm going to tell you about is legal in the state of Missouri, okay? Because sometimes you have to disclose that cameras are actually in use. Okay, I'm not sure.
Right. And the supervisor for the agency already said, that they can't spy on their own employees, but we could put a camera in. But yes,
all right, good.
I will check the local laws too.
Yeah, because you know what? And let me tell you something. People act differently when they know that there's a camera.
Oh yeah,
100%.
Like in a convenience store, if they see the camera right there, they're not even going to think about trying.
Well, I didn't worry about that. I was my mom's caregiver, but I put a camera in her guest house because she lived in my guest house. So I put a camera in the guest house.
Yeah, I remember.
Where everybody could see the camera. I mean, I didn't try to hide the camera. I just did not, because I figured, you know what? They're going to act differently again if they know that I'm watching. Okay.
Exactly.
And so what I put in there is a Google Nest Cam. What I like about the Nest Cam, it's high quality video, and you also get motion alerts and zone alerts.
Okay.
And so, if you want to set up a zone for when he walks out of his bedroom, you could do that. If you want to set a zone for when the front door opens, you can get a note. You get a motion alert for that. So every time somebody's moving around, your phone's not going off, right? With a different text or email. The quality is fabulous. It's super easy. So if you do have an event that you want to save, is that you can just highlight that event on the timeline and then you can save it. And it works with iOS on the Google Home app, and it is encrypted video, so I like that too.
Okay. Yeah, we all have iPhones, so the iOS is good.
So, and then the other thing too is that, let's say that you do spot something, okay? Mm-hmm. Is that you on the Google Home app can turn on the microphone and the camera and say, "Excuse me, what are you doing?"
Oh, that's good.
Okay. If you want to talk to your son, you could say something to your son, whatever it may be. But if you're looking for something that is going to alert you for like just what we talked about in certain situations. It's, they're like $100 per camera. And if you put it up high enough in like the corner of a kitchen, I don't know what his apartment looks like, but I'm just thinking in my mom's guest house, I had it on the shelf above the cabinets in the kitchen. And so I had it looking down. So I captured the entire room that way.
Yeah. And I'm thinking we may want 2 of them to put them in opposite corners or something like that. Yeah. Now, is there a subscription fee for this Nest camera?
Yeah, there is, but you don't really need it. Let me tell you why. If something's gonna happen, you're gonna save that video right away. So you get 7 days free, and then they want to charge you for every 30 days afterwards or whatever it may be. If you go on the pay plan. But if an event is going to happen, this way how I always looked at it, I'm going to know right then. Because of this situation, I'm going to get an emotion alert. I'm going to know that something bad has happened, and I'm going to save it at that moment. So.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds good. So
I'm not worried about saving videos for 30 days or 90 days or 120 days, or whatever it may be, because I'm going to go in there and I'm going to save it right away. So again, Google Nest Cam indoor, that's going to be your best bet. And I normally like to recommend 2 or 3 things. I do, but I'm not really sure that something like a cheapo camera from Amazon is what you want. You want reliability in this case. I mean, this is your son that we're talking about. Let's see, Robert in Wichita, Kansas. You're up next.
Hi, how you doing?
I'm good. What's going on?
Okay, I'm a sports photographer, and shooting sports, sometimes you know how things get fast and furious, and when I look at my pictures on the computer, some of them are soft or even blurry, but what I need is... I've been looking at software, that says that, we can take that softness or blurriness out, but there's like 10, 15, 20 programs out there.
Tons, aren't there?
I just like to know which one you would suggest.
All right, well, let's talk about some AI tools. Now, Adobe has totally jumped into the AI bandwagon. If you're using Creative Cloud on the web and as from Adobe with Photoshop, is that now they have something called neural filters. That's N-E-U-R-A-L, neural filters. That's something that can enhance the blurriness inside. It's not something that can get rid of some of the blurry, but it's not as good as I think as some other tools. A couple that I really want you to look at. One is called Topaz. Now, what's nice about Topaz is that it really has some AI-based sharpening tools. And if you go to the homepage for Topaz Labs, that's Topaz Labs Photo AI, is that they actually will show you before and after pictures. Now, it doesn't really become self-evident, but when you are at their website and you see a line down the middle of the photo, the left side will be before and the right side will be after. And then you can move that tool left and right so you can see exactly how the software enhanced the photo, got rid of the blurriness, sharpened things up quite a bit, and it's about $200 for the software. Now, the other one that I want you to take a look at is it's called Luminaire Neo, and that's Luminaire, Luminar Neo. I don't think it's as good as Topaz, but again, I'm not a professional photographer. I do a lot of things, but that's not one. But from what I've seen in their results, it just seems like Topaz is a little bit of a heads up on Luminaire. But take a look at the neural filters with Adobe, Topaz, and then this Luminaire Neo. They're all about the same price, except, of course, Adobe, you're going to pay an extra $20 a month for that. And thank you for your call today. All right, I use Instacart, but you really need to make sure that you're paying attention. Because, of course, somebody's going to go do all the food shopping and then buy the best stuff and then have it delivered. But I really want you to make sure that when you are using Instacart, that you see whatever place that you're using, that it's the same prices as in the store. Because sometimes they jack it up by 8 or 10%. And then you've got the tip and then the service fee and all these other fees. So again, just make sure that you're getting the in-store prices at wherever you're shopping. All right, you want to stay right where you are, because coming up, we're going to be talking about the jobs that AI will be taking over here on the Kim Kamando Show. You know, you can always be so much more productive by using a second computer monitor, even a third monitor. So I don't know if you know this, but you can actually use your iPad as a second computer monitor. I'll tell you more about that. And then later on, a security test that I'm going to be passing along. Let's see if you are smart enough to pass it. And before we get to all of that and more of your fantastic phone calls, because after all, we have the best callers in the history of talk radio and podcasting, is joining us here on the Kim Commando Show is our very own amazing content queen, Ali Seligman. Hello there, Al.
Hi, Kim.
So we talk a lot about artificial intelligence, and I had a chance to try out the new Strawberry Chat GPT.
Did you?
Yeah, it's kind of like I said, it's kind of like a raspberry, you know, not really quite a strawberry right there. But when we start looking at jobs and the jobs that are going away, and a lot of people are freaked out about this, like, you know, do I need to get a new career?
Totally.
And, you know, so you start thinking like, all right, well, AI can do math, but it can't really tell you what type of research to do, right?
Yes, really good point.
There's the whole thought that AI will replace landscapers by robots. And
would you want a robot landscaper?
Yeah.
Yeah, bring it on.
Yeah.
Okay.
Especially if I can tell that AI robot landscaper person thing, bot, whatever it is, because it just seems like, I don't know what it is. The guy comes every Tuesday, Allie. Okay. I mean, every Tuesday.
Okay.
And, you know, sometimes he shows up at like, you know, 7 a.m. Sometimes he shows up at 4 p.m. There's no consistency. And I've talked to him about it.
Okay.
And, but it's always the leaf blower. Okay. I don't know what it is, but the guy has like some psychic, I don't know, thing going on that whenever I'm on a Zoom call, video call, that he just has to come right by my sliding glass doors with the leaf blower. And then I look at him, I'm like, really? Again? So I've tried to explain to him, like, you can just look in and say, like, yay or nay, right?
Well, of course he's listening, so hi, you should stop doing that. And yeah, we could just tell the AI bot that's doing the yard, if Kim is on a video call,
do not.
No leaf blower.
No leaf blower.
And it would actually remember.
So you did the research. What kind of jobs are we looking at?
I sure did. So there are a couple different resources for this. HubSpot just put out a new future of employment study where they basically took all these different factors to say, here's the percentage chance, right? And then the other part of this is that website, Will Robots Take My Job? By the way, you can go to that, willrobotstakemyjob.com. And we'll put the link in the newsletter so you don't have to remember it. But here are some of the top ones on the list about jobs that are probably very likely going away. Now, this one scored a 99 and a 100% in those two studies. Telemarketing, dun, 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 of course. So if you are a telemarketer, my friend, it's time for you to find another career path.
You know what? You need to just find a new career path, regardless of AI.
I mean, yes, that's true. But second on the list, a bookkeeping clerk. Okay, if you help with a job like that, I'm sorry, AI can do that and probably really well. So you want to expand. And don't worry, we're going to talk about a few skills that if you want to AI-proof yourself, you can do that. Compensation and benefits managers. That's pretty high on the list, actually, which was surprising to me. I still think there are going to be companies where you want to talk to someone about this.
Yeah, but you know what? You know what's happening in Nevada is that they're farming it all out for workman's comp. To AI. And they say like, oh, a person's going to review it at the end.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, you know what? It's going to go through like weeks and weeks and weeks of paperwork and checking boxes. And then some guy at the end or gal at the end is going to be like, nope. Yes.
Yep.
Nope. Yes.
And he's not going to look, he or she is not going to look through all of the stuff. They're just going to say, what'd the bot say? Okay, sounds good.
Got it.
Yeah. Receptionists. This one, okay, I can picture this world, right? You walk into a building, a smart building.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just there. Couriers, no, we don't need that. We have drones. Proofreaders, makes a lot of sense to me. If you're not making meaningful changes to something, if you're just finding the typos,
gone.
Sorry, AI can do that. Computer support specialists, IT folks. Ooh, this is one.
It's a tough one.
It's a tough one, and I have some mixed thoughts about it. I think a lot of people want to be walked through by a human, but I don't know. Market research analysts.
Of course.
AI is really good at analyzing things. Really is. Advertising and retail salespeople.
Okay, this one I don't buy.
I'm with you. I knew that you would. Yeah.
Okay, because let me tell you something. They have tried for years and years and years to have these portals set up so that you could go on CBS.com, whatever it was, and you can say, I've got, $300 and I want to spend it here. And I know that you can do Facebook ads by using a portal. I get that.
Sure.
But, you need to have a certain skill set in order to do that. I don't buy it.
Really good point. And especially if we're a company spending a lot of money, you want reassurance from a person. You don't want to just send it off into nowhere and feel like, who's even behind this? Who cares about me? You need that reassurance, right? So what can't AI replace? Number one on their list, HR managers.
I get that.
Makes a heck of a lot of sense. If you're having two people with a problem that you need to figure out, you're not going to get a bot to do that. That is human compassion, empathy, right? Sales managers and marketing managers. Cool. Public relations managers. Yeah, if there's a huge crisis.
A lot of managers.
Yeah. And that's a theme we're going to see here, right? A lot of the lower level stuff where it's a lot of the more busy work, pulling numbers, things that you don't necessarily need a human to do. You need a human for the step above that, the making decisions, the coming up with great ideas. Event planners, there are so many complexities that go into things like that. The vendors, coming up with all the schedules, all these things that work together. AI is not great at that stuff, at least not yet.
Especially at a wedding. Like, who can really sit next to each other? Because they hate each other, they love each other.
Totally.
This one owes her money. This one wants to talk about politics.
Well, and some of those things are, by the time you train the AI to know all that stuff, you could have just done it yourself.
Exactly.
It's not worth it. Writers and editors are also on this list. I agree to an extent.
A little bit. I mean, you know what? ChatGPT is a pretty good writer.
It is, but could ChatGPT write like you, Kim?
No.
No, there you go. It can write certain things. Absolutely. If you really want personality in that writing, AI is not there. Software developers, you can save so much time. Same with coders and programmers.
So the bottom line here is that when you start looking at where you are at today, where you want to be in 5 years or 10 years, or maybe you have somebody in your family that you're counseling on, this is your career path for you, is that you have to think about artificial intelligence. And of course, Al, you're going to put all this together, you're going to write all this up, because there are certain skill sets that people do need to have regardless, that I think we need to cover.
Oh, absolutely.
And so if you're not already getting our free newsletter, head over to commando.com/newsletters. Just head over to commando.com. And then we got a link to the newsletter right there. Allie, as always, you look beautiful and a great job.
Thanks, Kim.
And Al, AI cannot replace you.
Oh.
Oh, doesn't that make you feel warm?
Yeah.
All right, if you ever want to use a second screen on your Mac or your Windows PC, and you can use an iPad for this, by the way, on a Mac, there's a feature called Sidecar that lets you use an iPad wirelessly to mirror the display. If you have a PC, you have to use software like Duet. And you're sitting there going like, what are the names of that? How do I do that? Just hit the website, commando.com, and say iPad second monitor, and that tip will pop right up. Still to come, more of your phone calls here on the Kim Komando Show. Joseph in Traverse City, Michigan.
Well, before we get started, my sister came up from Detroit for a color tour yesterday, and I told her that I got a phone call from you. And she stopped the car, and she goes, what? I go, yeah, I'm talking to Kim Komando tomorrow. And she goes, Kim Komando is the only person in any media outlet, print, television, or radio, that when she says something, I believe her. And she was just so excited that I was going to be talking to you.
Well,
and she's a huge fan. Huge.
Well, you know what? When we get done, I'm gonna put you on hold and make sure that you give Amber your sister's name and address, and we'll send her out a ball cap or something fun.
Beautiful. Absolutely fantastic. So anyway, what I'm calling about is I'm looking for I'm a writer, and I conduct interviews on the phone.
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking for a recording device or an app or something that I can record a conversation with on the telephone and that will have good quality reproduction. And then I would take that recording and use some kind of software to transcribe that interview into a Word document to begin my writing process.
Well, let me tell you, you're going to love what I'm going to tell you about. You are. Okay, because the old way of doing it is we're going to take the audio file and then we're going to upload it and it's going to transcribe it and it's going to not be all that great. Okay. And then you have to figure out, is this person 1, person 2, person 3, person 4, whoever, how many people you have on the line, right? There's a website called otter.ai, otter, OTTER.ai. Okay.
On my list. Yep.
And they have an app. And so you record through the app. It saves the audio recordings. And then in addition to that, it's transcribing it in real time. And it will say person 1, person 2, person 1, person 2. And then you can go back in and say, oh, well, Joseph is person 1 and Kim is person 2. Okay, so it's really hard to beat that ability. You get, I think you get like 600 minutes free per month or something like that, and then you have to start paying because it's always those, anywhere you go right now, there's always a monthly fee for something. I don't know. It's like you turn around everywhere. It's like $2 a month here, $9 a month here, $5. It's just like
exactly
like what happened. If you're just looking for a call recording app, is ACR Call Recorder has been around for a long time.
I've used that in the past.
Yeah, and but I think if you're looking for something that is just a fantastic tool for journalists, it's hard to beat this. It's otter.ai. I know about this, Joseph, because I've used this myself.
Okay.
And I've been astounded at the quality of the transcriptions, even when the words were being spoken by a cancer specialist at MD Anderson, speaking medical ease, if you will. You know what I'm talking about. It's like, what did you just say? And I don't know what you just meant. Okay, so I can't even spell what you just said. Okay, so so using those type of conversations, it was really instrumental. At that time, I was a full-time caregiver for my mom who had pancreatic cancer, and so I would record the conversations and then be able to refer back to the conversations because, when you're in that type of situation, your head is going in so many different directions, right? So I could review the notes after the consultations with the doctor as well as share out with certain family members and friends. And so I wish I could tell you there was all these other great ways to do it. But if you're looking for what I consider the best tool out there, that would be otter.ai. Joseph, thank you. Thanks again for your call. And don't forget, I want to be sure that I send your sister a very special package. And so be sure to give Amber your sister's name and address, and so we can get that out to her next week. And Joseph, thank you again for telling me all about her. Let's see, Dave in Iowa City, Iowa.
Hey, I love the show. I don't get to listen to you all the time, but I try to get on whenever I can. So I do appreciate the info you kick out, and the biggest reason why I'm calling to try to get some good info. So. Hey, the wife is, everybody's always told her that she should be a travel agent. She loves digging in information, digging up, finding trips, plans our trips and all that. So she became an online travel agent. So kind of what we need now, she needs to figure out a website. So I'm going to make her a website.
Okay.
So we need a website to do that. And then also to print out all these itineraries and stuff, we need a good printer, scanner, copier.
Okay, let's start with the website. Fortunately, you don't need to be a pocket-protected nerd anymore to build a website. Probably the easiest one is just to use a service like Wix or Weebly or Squarespace. And these are companies that you basically fill out templates. And so you find a template that you like, and then you can have it as part of their domain, or you can have it as your own domain, which I would suggest that if this is her business, she gets her own domain. And so that this way it's easier for people to remember. And then as her business takes off, you can start directing people to a website, and just make sure that it's an easy name. And those are really hard to come by now because we've been registering domains now for, almost 30 years. But do your best. And if you can, make sure that you get a .com. Although I know you can get a .co and all these other ones, but a .com seems to be the best way still even today. And so they're going to charge you anywhere between $20 and $40 a month for that. And then there are also some plugins. So as you start looking at these various website building companies, look at the add-ons for, say, I want to schedule a call to talk to your wife. I want to fill out this itinerary, or I want to tell you these are the places where I want to go. And so when we call that, maybe she'll have some information about it. Okay. Now, as far as a good printer, scanner, copier that does everything, right, is that you're looking at something like, I'm going to send you links to these, is that, of course, you want it wireless. And, HP makes a color laser jet, and that's about $550. Of course, the downside to that is that color laser cartridges are super expensive. But they are fast printers, up to 22 pages per minute, and also does two-sided printing, and then you can put at least 50 pieces of paper in there. Now, if price is an issue and she's going to be printing a lot, okay, then believe it or not, you're going to spend more for the printer, but you're going to be using ink instead of toner. And so an Epson EcoTank Pro, it's about $800. It's an all-in-one, has these super tanks. And it does about 25 pages per minute. And so, again, we'll send you links to both of these and let you decide which one that you are into. But for, a business that's just starting out, of course, I know you want to conserve money, but just take a look at that Epson EcoTank, because I think it's going to be probably the one that you want for the long term, simply because it uses ink instead of those expensive toner cartridges. And if you need any help along the way with the business, Dave, just let me know. Happy to talk to your wife, because I just have a passion for entrepreneurs. I guess, being one, starting a company, we have no debt, we have no investors. It's been a long road, but I've learned a lot of lessons along the way that I'm just happy to pass along. And Dave, once again, thank you for your call. Hey, when you click a link on an ad in social media and it brings you to a place inside your web browser, that is a bad thing to do. You never, ever want to do that. So always keep that in mind. And don't forget to enter to win the brand new iPhone 16 at winfromkim.com.
Thanks for listening to The Kim Komando Show. Here's Hour 4.
I always like to kick things off with something fun and interesting. So let me ask you this question. Who loses more money to scams? Is that crazy old aunt or uncle who was born in 1950? Or is it your 20-year-old nephew who talks about his drip and communicates best in memes? Well, this is surprising. It's actually that 20-year-old nephew. Here's the reason why. Gen Zer spends just a ton of their time online, and they end up trusting the internet and the strangers that they talk to on it. Now, on average, Gen Zers lost $150 each to scams last year, which most of the loss is coming from fake jobs, online shopping scams, of course, all over social media, and cryptocurrency schemes. You can make a ton of money in crypto. Not so much, unless you start with a ton of money, and then you're going to lose it. Speaking of Gen Zers, I was going to tell my Gen Zer son a joke about Social Security, but he's probably not going to get it. Oh, on that happy note, welcome, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Kim Komando, America's beloved digital goddess, here with you once again. And let me tell you, you are about to get more tech smarts than ever, because if you're not tech ahead, you're going to be tech left behind in the dust. And you can find my award-winning show on over 420 top radio stations throughout the United States. And of course, I'm streaming in your favorite radio app. Just search for my last name, Komando. And you can also get the Kim Komando Show as a podcast wherever you do get your podcasts. Just search for, again, Komando with a K, of course. Hey, great sponsors help to make this show possible. And I always negotiate a money-saving deal with them. So to see all the deals and get the exclusive links that you need, just go to one spot. That's komando.com/sponsors. Alrighty, then every single day, whether it's the holiday, it's a weekend, it's a weekday, you can count on me to scan so many different websites and talk to industry insiders to make sure that we know the most important tech news. And here are the top 5 things that are happening right now. And we're going to start with your car. In 1994, automakers first began equipping all cars and trucks with what was called a black box. We were told that it would only collect accident and engine performance data. But after 30 years, we know it's a whole different story. It was only a matter of time before car manufacturers realized that the information stored by your car's black box was super valuable. Instead of recording only accident and performance data, today's cars are equipped with EDRs, event data recorders. Let me tell you, They keep track of everything. It knows when you're speeding, hard braking, rapidly accelerating. It automatically and wirelessly reports everything to data brokers like LexisNexis. This data is turned into your driving risk score. That's then, you know where I'm going with this, huh? It's sold to your insurance company, who will then use it to sometimes raise your rates. So is this an invasion of your privacy? Yes, but it's not illegal. All right, moving on to number 2. Even though they are against the law, you can find them for sale on Amazon. I'm talking about cell phone blockers, Wi-Fi drone, radar jammers, and more. But now the FCC is moving to stop it all. You see, this is a big market for cell phone jammers. Talking about churches, movie theaters, restaurants. They would love to install them if they were legal. Radio jammers interfere with police speed radar cameras, by the way. GPS blocking devices prevent your car from being tracked. Wi-Fi jammers are just a favorite for thieves to jam up your home and business wireless security cameras. And of course, drone jammers can bring down a nearby intrusive drone. So everyone can think of it this way. They would want to use one of these devices, but federal law makes the operation, the marketing, the sale of any jamming device illegal. No exceptions for classrooms, homes, business, even law enforcement. So if you're tempted to buy one, don't do it. All right, moving on to number 3, the news. Wow. Newspapers have been on a slow train wreck for at least, 20, 25 years. Nobody was paying attention when the advice columns, the movie times, the stock reports, the weather, and everything just moved online. And the one thing that has not remained consistent is the news itself. Yes, the news business is very expensive. Just ask Jeff Bezos how his purchase of the Washington Post is doing. Vice is done out of money. The Messenger ran out of cash in less than a year. More than a quarter of all the newspapers that were in business just 10 years ago are gone. And every other news company, the New York Times, NBC, Politico, the Associated Press, they're all cutting back. So we're left with social media. And the reason why I bring this up is over half of all U.S. adults are getting their news from social media. Oh my gosh. Isn't that just disturbing? Wow. Folks, you have to know that those algorithms only feed you the news that they think that you want to see. So it may not give you the other side of the story. Moving on to number 4, speaking of news, I saw this headline. Regular use of mobile phones linked to heart attack disease risk. Let me say that again. Regular use of mobile phones linked to heart attack disease risk. Are they warning about radiation or what's going on? Okay, I did some digging. This story originates in China. It claims that heavy cell phone users are at a 10% higher risk of heart disease. Now, I'm not a researcher, I'm not a doctor, but it sounds to me like this increased risk, if there is one at all, is more related to a lack of exercise, stress, and lifestyle. I mean, just get off your butt and get off your phone. Now, the same study also found that smartphone users who smoke have an even greater cardiovascular risk, too. Well, duh. Thanks, China, but I think we have this one covered. And finally, let's talk about safety. With all the shootings in schools, I want you to think about this. When my son started first grade, I made sure that he had a cell phone, a super lockdown one, of course, but in case of emergency, all he had to do was press and hold one button, and it would send me a text. Now, of course, with today's smartphones, things are a lot different. And I recommend every family create a secret code for when someone's in trouble. Okay, an emoji works perfectly. It's discreet. It's really quick to send. Choose something memorable, like a tree, an owl, maybe your crescent moon. And make sure that location services like Find My on my iPhones and your Androids, it's always activated. Now, if you can afford a smartwatch for your kid, get one. In case of an emergency, it's going to be a lot easier for them to text you an emoji versus calling you. But don't stop there. Have a real thoughtful conversation with your kids and family about how and when to use the code. It's not just a brief chat. It's about creating a plan. This small step could give you total peace of mind and make sure that they are safe when it matters most. All right, we're going to talk about some ways you can get discounts without sharing your data, how to check for dead remote batteries using your phone. That's not your bank on the phone that may be calling. We have, of course, your great phone calls that you don't want to miss as well. And you have me, Kim Komando. Go to winfromkim.com. Once again, that's winfromkim.com. That's where you can enter to win a brand new iPhone 16. Yes, You're going to love this iPhone 16. It has AI baked in. Well, not when it gets released in October, but I saw the demo. It's really amazing. Once again, to enter to win a brand new iPhone 16, no purchase required, go to winfromkim.com. Once again, that's winfromkim.com. All right, our T-Mobile Unlimited listener line is now open at 1-888-825-5254. And how about we start with Michelle in Huntsville, Alabama. Hi there, Michelle.
Thank you so much for taking my call. I've been a longtime listener, researcher, and user of your tips, so this is fantastic.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Awesome. What's going on?
So I am one of those holdout parents as far as cell phones for a child. I have a 14-year-old son who, up until a month ago, did not have a cell phone. He was phoneless.
Michelle,
Yeah.
how did you do that?
Get him that far, or why did I break down, right?
Oh, yeah, it's actually a two-parter. It is a two-parter.
Yes.
Wow, that is something. Now, did you have like parents around you who were doing the same thing, or you were just that strong?
I'm just that person.
Okay, good.
I was instilling some adversity into my child's life because you don't have to keep up with the Joneses and be just like every one of your peers. But, so about a month ago, he was potentially being selected for this cross-country travel sporting event, and he ultimately made that event.
Awesome.
So in preparation for him doing this, he was soliciting, saying, Mom, you're not going to send me across country without a phone. And you think I have a problem with that? Oh, no. I said, you're going to look left, right, forward, back, and everybody around you has a phone, and all the coaches have phones. There's access. I have ways to get you. But so that wasn't going to be a ploy for me. Truly, where my breakdown was I knowing that he was going to be the only kid without a phone, and these were peers of his age group. I didn't want him to miss out on the networking opportunity with his peers.
Well,
and
also,
new friends
you know
that
what?
he was going to meet.
You don't want him to be that freaky kid. I have a family member who has a lot of kids. They're very Catholic. A lot of kids. I'm not going to say how many. Let's just say there's a boatload of kids. Okay, the oldest is 14, and she has to use her father's phone to text her quote unquote boyfriend. Okay, so the father sees all the text messages going back and forth, and I tried to explain to him. I said, do you remember when you went to college? There was that kid who got drunk all the time. Okay, or that girl who just she just laid down whenever she wanted to. Okay, I said, You want to instill digital health with them and guidance, and you want to make sure that she doesn't, when she gets a phone, that she's not freaking out. You got to teach her about sexting, and it's just because it's a part of life now. But I'm glad that you held out to be 14, because there's all these mental health problems too that these poor kids are having when they get, they're having body issues because they start seeing this stuff at 5 and 7 years old, which is just. I interviewed a mother. I don't know if you saw this, a mom who was 7, or she has a 7-year-old. And the 7-year-old girl is on TikTok giving makeup tips. and this little 7-year-old girl, Michelle's going like, contour. And I'm like, I don't even know how to contour, anyway.
And I will say, like my son, we have a very healthy relationship with the technology. School is all on technology. Things are at their disposal. Yeah. Their computers, they all have even YouTube access and things on it. So, it's been quite cringeworthy. And that's actually another variable that came into this is if he didn't have, because what we would do is we would share my phone. And I used it as a house phone. I went back to my days and, hey, you can take it and go have your private conversation somewhere, but it's going to be, quote unquote, our house phone. And, I gave him leeway and all that with the phone, and that's how we used it.
So how's he doing with his own phone?
He seems to be doing quite well. So we're a month in, and truly when he got selected for this team, we had a half-hour turnaround time, and he was being shipped off. Once we found out his name, he was off. So there was, I tried to instill some stuff on his phone. I at least got Life 360 onto his phone so I could see his whereabouts as he traveled. But I do have on my phone, so I have a Google Pixel for my personal phone. I have an iPhone for my work. Okay. He has an iPhone. So with Verizon, I did get the Smart Family, and then I was going to use like the Google Family link, and then I've got Life 360. So I've really got a lot going on, and I don't want duplicating options, and I also don't want to be signing up for stuff and have it being nickel-dimed across the board. So I want to do it frugal but right. and give him some of that freedom. So to answer your question, he's doing really well with it. And, he knows to let me use it. He keeps it downstairs in the kitchen. When he goes to bed, it does not go in the bedroom.
You know what? You're a good mom. You're a good mom. You are. Because, it's so easy to succumb to this. And because, oh, come on, Mom, just 5 more minutes, just 10 more minutes, or whatever it is.
Oh, we do get some of that. We do.
All right. It would be easier if you had an iPhone. Okay.
I do have a work iPhone, but again, I don't want to trudge on trouble with that.
Exactly. That's what and I know Google Pixel phones, they're great. Gal here, Allie, I don't know if you've seen her on the shows or something, but she loves her Pixel phone. She just loves it. But it would be better if you were on the same iOS, because then you have Apple IDs, and then you could go through the back door on some of those Apple IDs and get copies of text messages and see what he's doing in real time. And Apple has put together a really good parental control. They have built-in screen time, such as set limits. You can monitor activity. But if you are looking for social media tracking and text message scanning, that's where you're going to look at a third-party tool, whether you're on iOS or whatever. And that's really, if you don't like Bark for whatever reason, Qustodio might be more up your lane. And that's with the Q, Qustodio, Qustodio. Google Family Link, it's really good. It does offer cross-platform monitoring, but it doesn't really integrate with iOS as well as if you were both on iOS. It's kind of like if you have a Windows machine and he's on a Mac, and you would think after all these years, we could be able to get through to this. But, Apple keeps that ecosystem pretty locked down. They do.
Right.
And they don't really want you in there because they want you to stay with them. I mean, you can, and if you were on an iPhone, you could control his usage also from your own device, so you don't have to go to his phone. And with the screen time, is that you can also restrict content, like music, movies, web content. You can put how much time they're going to spend on each app. So what I would do, I don't know your kid, but he sounds like he's fabulous, which is wonderful. Is that I would get rid of the Pixel. I would, and I'd get an iPhone. I'd set up screen time and tell him what I'm doing. And this is why I'm doing it. And I'm going to get alerts all this time now. And if I see things that I don't want, I'm taking the phone away. Okay. And that's just the way it is. I mean, because, and I know you're going to be able to do that. You will. Do you need to go buy a brand new iPhone 16? Nah. You can buy a 12, I wouldn't go any lower than a 12 though. But what's also nice is that you're not going to need the Live 360 for the location sharing, because that's built in on the iOS. So you can get rid of some of the stuff that you signed up for along the way, because, again, it's all built into the iOS. And congrats on being a great mom, Michelle. Ooh, you rock. Always such great questions here on the show. Love that. All right, the FBI is warning about tech support scams that have taken folks for a jaw-dropping $600 million in just the first half of this year. It all starts with a message from your bank or the government warning you that there has been this computer hack. Nope, it's all scammers. If you get a call from someone claiming to work for your bank and they tell you that some hacker from a foreign country is all over your account, I just want you to just hang up. Okay? If you get an unexpected email, text, pop-up warning about a breach, take a deep breath. Before acting, verify that message with the bank or agency directly. No wire, no gift cards. No Bitcoin from ATMs ever. Hey, stay right where you are. We have more of your phone calls coming up. You don't want to miss. In just a few seconds, I'm going to talk about how you can run a free background check on yourself. Super important to do. And then later on, some ways that you can get discounts without sharing your personal data. And before we get to all of that and your phone calls, how about a fun and practical party trick you can use to totally impress your family and friends? Just using your smartphone, you can check to see if the batteries are dead in your TV, your soundbar, or streaming device's remote control. Here's how it works. First, you launch the camera app on your phone. Then, aim your remote control at the phone's camera. Here's the surprise. Press any button on the remote control and take a look at the screen. If you can see a flashing light on the camera app, it means that the remote control is working fine and the batteries are not dead. But if you cannot see any flashing lights, either the batteries are dead or the remote control is broken. All right. Something to keep in mind, remote control batteries, they usually last not too long, 3 to 6 months. All right, let's see who's up next. Lisa in San Antonio, Texas. Hi there, Lisa.
Well, I don't know. This may bring you a little bit of humor, but it started out that way, but now it's gotten pretty scary here. I started getting texts and phone calls from unknown sources. This started last Tuesday, and they would say available. Can you talk? And then some got worse. So I was telling some of my friends about it. We were at breakfast, and I said, I'm going to go home and Google my phone number. And sure enough, it was posted, my phone number, on a escort site, which escort is a nice term for it.
Okay, so it's a porno site.
Exactly.
Oh, gosh.
And so, everything I can do, report junk, blocking the calls. And so, like I said, it started last Tuesday night. Over the weekend, it was terrible. And then last couple of days, it stopped. So I'm thinking, is this just going to be a weekend thing? But my question is, how can I remove that information from Google, even though I've gone in there and asked them to remove it, and it doesn't meet their criteria or whatever? It has my phone number.
Well, they should be removing that now because they have new ways. They're supposed to be removing that information now.
Okay.
But let me tell you, here's what my concern is.
Okay.
Is that, you can go to this website and you can ask them to take the number down. Have you done that?
No, because when I've gone on there, I don't see any it's kind of like it says independent.
All right. Well, here's how you find out who owns a website.
Okay.
You go to a website, whois.net. Again, that's whois.net. And you can type in any website. Hopefully they don't have their listing hidden. And you can find a contact email address and phone number.
Okay.
But because it's a porno site, it's not going to be a reputable business. Let's put it that way.
Mm-hmm.
Versus if it was at a news organization. But even if you were to get it down, even if Google takes it down, my problem is that somebody has a copy of your phone number. And it's like you can block every number. You can set up different filters, silence unknown callers, and all that other stuff. Which
I do that,
and that sounds really great until you get a call from your doctor and they can't get through because they're unknown. So there's pros and cons to everything. What I would do is I would call my cellular provider, tell them this is what happened to my phone number. I need to change it.
Oh, gosh, I hate to do that.
I know you hate to do that. I know you hate that.
I know.
And I would hate to do it too because you get your phone number tied to just about everything in our lives.
Yes.
But once it's out there, it's kind of like people that call me and they say, oh, all of a sudden I'm getting a lot of spam.
Mm-hmm.
I try to block it all, but it still keeps coming.
Exactly.
All right. You know what? Once you're on the list, it's like the Hotel California. You can check in, but you ain't never going to leave, right?
Well, I wondered this about what started is I called my security company last Tuesday because I keep getting some kind of alert from them that my panel battery is low, and when they said they'd transfer me, something didn't sound right, and I should have just hung up and ended up punching in, yes, I'll, call me back. And then when they called me back, I couldn't understand the guy, so I asked him to call me again. Never happened. So
you got taken on that.
Transfer.
All right. So you called the wrong number. What happened?
Probably.
So because that's how they get you, especially if you Google like tech support phone number, whatever it is. All those phone numbers are bad.
Yeah. Well, I'm pretty maybe tech savvy and not doing that, and I even check my call log, and it shows my security company in my call log.
Well, then I would reach out to them too.
Back,
I would reach out to them and speak to a manager. Tell them what happened. I want you to just bypass a rep, but speak to them. I wish I could. I mean, I would definitely go back and try to fill out that Google form. I definitely would do that because they this is recent. They came out and they said, if your personal identifiable information is on the internet and you want it off, we are going to take it off. That includes your name, your home address, your email address, and your phone number. So they should take that down for you. But even if they take it down, I'm just afraid that, you know what, you're just going to be like whack-a-mole. You know, as soon as you get rid of one, another one's going to pop up. Because once you're on those type of sites, like I said, they're just not reputable. I wish I had better news for you, Lisa, but thank you for your call. All right, everyone wants to know what you've been up to. Your boss, a date, somebody from high school. Your online business does not have to be everyone's business. So how can you check what the internet really knows about you? First, of course, you're going to go to Google and you're going to type in your first and last name in quotes and see what pops up. People are usually interested in the organizations that you're affiliated with, your social profiles, any photos of you that might be floating around the web. Next up, your credit score. You can get a free credit report from Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion once a year. Many credit cards and identity theft services offer free credit scores as well. And have you heard about those websites that will help you build a family tree? Yeah, they can be fun and super informative, but for you and for anyone who might be looking you up, it could be a complete privacy nightmare. So here's what I want you to do. Go to familytreenow.com. Once again, that's familytreenow.com. And I bet you're going to be shocked at everything that is there about you. Afterwards, you can opt out so that your info is erased for good. We've got the steps over at commando.com. All right, still to come, we have more of your phone calls that you don't ever want to miss here on the Kim Komando Show. Let's see, Jean in Topeka, Kansas. Hi there, Jean.
Thank you so much for taking my call, and I'm excited to have discovered recently that you have podcasts available.
Awesome.
Kim, my question to you is this. For like 20-some years now, I have been putting out a family calendar. Every year I have about 65 that I make.
Okay.
And my program that I'm using is an old calendar program that I started 20-some years ago. And in itself, I worry that it might quit working. And more than that, it's an old 16-bit program. So I've only been able to take it as far as a 32-bit computer. And I worry that that old computer might crash on me.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping what's so unique about that program, Kim, is that not only does it roll over the names and dates or to the proper dates every year, it also updates and rolls over numbers.
Well, that's pretty handy.
And I have not been able to find any calendar program that will do that anymore.
Yeah, that's, you know what, that's interesting. That's interesting. You know, you could keep it going by using a virtual machine like VirtualBox or Hyper-V. You could set that up. But I really think that we need to get you into today's age where it's not just a printed calendar, but where it's an online calendar, where your 64 people that you all collaborate on this family calendar with, that they can also contribute their own dates. And they might be able, then they can also color code their families so they can see just their families, other families, whatever it may be. And so it becomes like a living, breathing calendar instead of this thing that's stuck, 20 years ago. I mean, what were you doing 20 years ago?
It's certainly different than what I am doing now.
Exactly. Because like, for example, if you were to use Google Calendar, you could probably write some type of script that would keep track of all the dates, but it would integrate with Google Contacts. And so in this calendar, you'd have everybody's birthdays, and then you'd also have their name, their email address. And so if somebody wanted to actually reach out and just, drop them an email or text or whatever, that they could actually do that on the birthday as well. There's also a program called Cozy, C-O-Z-I. And this is really set up as a family organizer, but I know that it has a pretty robust calendar system. And so I'm not sure if that's something that you might want to look at as well. And I know you're saying you print these out, but you could always just use like a place like Shutterfly or MPix or even Google Photos where you can make a calendar and then just mail it out to everybody? Because I know, a lot of people like these paper calendars. They do. I mean, it's, and they're nice to look at, especially if you have a photo of the month. It's kind of nice to see. But I also want to encourage you to get it into today's times, because with today's times, that's going to allow you to reach a new audience. The people who don't want the physical calendar. I'm thinking of the 20-somethings in the family, right? The 30-somethings, the millennials that are having kids, and so they could be part of this, and they can put their kids in there, and then they could have that could be tied to a Google Photos album. So every time little Johnny gets a new trophy or whatever it may be, is that's also tied to the family unit. And I like using Google because so many people have Google accounts. So take a look at Google Calendar, take a look at Cozy. But there's going to come a time where you're just going to have to give it up. And let me do some thinking to see if I can find a calendar program that will actually keep track of the age of that person along the way. And if I find anything, I'll put it inside of our free newsletter, that if you're not already getting our newsletter, you can sign up right now over at getkim.com. I tried installing a calendar app, but I accidentally installed a colander. That's right. It keeps draining my battery. Yeah, that was bad. Dan in Plymouth, Wisconsin. Hi there, Dan.
Hello, Kim. Thank you for taking my call. I appreciate what you're doing on the radio.
Well, thank you, sir. Thank you. How can I lend a hand?
So I'm wondering, in Google Maps, if you put a location in, Google usually gives you 3 choices on different routes to get to the location. And I'm wondering if there's an app that you could actually put the routes that you wanted to travel, and it would follow those directions.
Sure. What do you do for a living?
I'm in transportation.
So you are a truck driver, over the road driver? Is that it?
Yes, actually, it's specialized. We do a lot of oversized loads where each state, you have to apply for the permits, and then they give you specific roads that you have to follow.
Oh, those are so cool. I was, this is probably a couple of years ago, and it was 2:00 in the morning, and they had the 51 freeway shut down outside of Phoenix, right inside Phoenix, rather, between Phoenix and Scottsdale. And they were transporting this 1929 GM Future bus. And I was like, it was astounding how they just shut down the whole freeway, and this guy's going right in the center with this massive, oversized load. So that's what you do?
Yes, not quite that big. That's really specialized, yes. When they're shutting down freeways because of the weight restrictions, yeah, that's really specialized. Not quite that big.
All right. Well, here's the deal, is that you're not going to be able to find this in Google Maps, as you know. There's a couple of programs that you can check out. One's called, and we'll send you links to these so you can see which one actually will work the best for you. There's Truck GPS Navigation, and that gives you clearance, local facility directions, weight restrictions, all that other good stuff, and allows you to actually say, this is the route that I want to be on. The same thing is another app called Truck Map, and there's another one called OptimaRoute, and that's $35 a month. So you might want to, maybe that might be out of the price budget, but there's definitely apps that are made just for your occupation. Again, there's called Truck GPS Navigation, Truck Map, and then another one called OptimaRoute. And hang on the line, Dan, because we'll send you links to all these so you can check them out. And thank you for your call. Hey, if you ever have a question for me and you're like, oh, I don't know if I could come on a big-time radio show or podcast, Kim Komando, but I still need your help. Okay, here's what I need you to do. I know that you like to leave me your questions with comments all over social media. You like to DM me all over social media. But the very best way for you to give me your question and what you want to know more about is by heading to the official homepage of the Kim Komando Show, which, by the way, if you haven't been there in a while, it's totally revamped. It's totally new. It doesn't stink anymore. That's right. I know it was bad, but it's not that way. KOMANDO, commando.com. And there's a link at the top that says Ask Kim. And I read every single note that you send me there. Again, the official homepage of the Kim Komando Show is, of course, commando.com with a K. And then at the top, you want to hit that link that says Ask Kim. Hey, if you haven't already, make sure that you enter to win the brand new iPhone 16 right now. I need you to go to winfromkim.com. Once again, that's winfromkim.com. No purchase required, of course. winfromkim.com. All right, many grocery stores are ditching physical loyalty cards for their apps. But what if you don't want to download an unfamiliar app? Unfortunately, you could be missing out because if you don't participate in these loyalty programs, you're going to pay as much as 3 times more for a single item. And of course, that can all add up. So if you want discounts without a digital footprint, here's what you can do. Look for stores that do not require loyalty programs for discounts. What about Trader Joe's or Walmart or Target? Everyone just gets a low price. Next, look for physical coupons. Most grocery stores have a coupon section on their website for you to print, snip, and hand in. And finally, ask for the discount anyway. Behind the counter, cashiers usually have a code to charge the digital price. Hey, don't forget to enter to win at winfromkim.com.